What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about Spellbound. This is a new Netflix animated feature that is trying to get some awards buzz going. I actually did check out Next Best Picture, did an interview with Alan Menken and the lyricist, who I'm less familiar with, honestly. I wanted it to be like Steven Schwartz, like Menken and Schwartz, but it wasn't. But I did hear Alan Menken talk about like how he helps craft these songs that went into this movie. And looking at Netflix's slate of films this year, I don't know what else they have. I wouldn't even know what their primary campaign was without this movie, because everything was just kind of mid, like fine, which is fine. You know, Thelma the Unicorn, Ultraman Rising, the Sandy Cheeks movie. I'm forgetting, but The Imaginary, like all the films that kind of like dropped, Orion in the Dark, like none of these films are really going to get nominated for animated feature. Like, it's not gonna. So could this? Well, IMDb doesn't think so, but I'll tell you why IMDb doesn't think so. And it's because trolls, they exist. I've had this conversation. There are certain people, there are certain stars who shouldn't have social media. And no, they're not all female, but, you know, Rachel Ziegler happens to be one of them. So Rachel Ziegler needs to have her social media taken away from her. I'm sorry, but if she can't see that, like, she keeps saying things and having to apologize and walk back comments. And I think her presence in films is starting to tank people's perception of them. This is not a 5-point something. However, I think the anti-Ziegler army is jumping in here. I like Rachel Ziegler, and I don't necessarily disagree with what she's saying, but she has to understand that when she says it, she's also representing the films and the products. It's why a lot of times actors don't always say everything that's on their mind, is because when they do, they're also representing their film projects. And for somebody like Rachel, who just kind of got into Hollywood, it does kind of feel like you just got here. Like, you just got here. So I think people have a fact. And of course, yes, there are the people who are always going to be upset because it's a woman saying it. That's a real thing. So I think there are plenty of people who could have had the same advice given to them that are men that take away their social media account. Army Hammer. Do you know what I'm saying? Not that those are the same people, but I think Army Hammer probably could have benefited from somebody coming in and taking away his social media at some point. We might still have an Army Hammer if that was the case. He would still be in movies, and his movies, the remaining things that he was in, wouldn't have tanked because he was in them. So, and it wouldn't be so hard for people to go back and watch those films now and be like, oh, Army Hammer's in this. Oh God, he's a cannibal. But anyway, this is about this movie. So who else is in this? Rachel Ziegler. We've got a lot of really star-studded talent. John Lithgow, Nathan Lane, Jennifer Lewis, Nicole Kidman, Javier Bardem, who I will have a hot take on, so stay tuned. Titus Burgess, yeah, just a bunch of people all up in this for a great little musical romp that is very imperfect. It is very imperfect, but has excellent audio description done by International Digital Center, written by Liz Gutman. She does a fantastic job of giving me life in this world. This is very much a world that feels like somebody... I've actually recorded this before, so I'm going to keep saying the things that I like. I'm on my, like, umpteenth. I do actually re-record my things. I know it seems like I'm rambling sometimes. It kind of feels like when, like, your little kid wakes you up in the middle of the night and he's like, Dad, I had a dream. And he just tries to tell you the dream, and then like, you write the dream down. And then you're like, this doesn't make any sense, but my God, this is going to make a great movie. And then you write it. And then you don't realize it doesn't actually, it's not there. It's like fully there. You know, so the film tries to make up for it in the beginning by having this like opening song / exposition. But it's a world that we're not really familiar with, and it has sort of like throwaway lines. So instead of being shown things, like Frozen has sort of a great little beginning to it. It's not over explanatory in its nature, but it does sort of show you where these people were. The parents are going off. You kind of see the boat. It kind of disappears. People are like, oh my God, Tarzan, you know? And then we go back to Frozen and we see the little kids and they're growing up, and it's just like the way that it's paced and it shows is much better. Here we just were introduced to Ziegler's character. She's turning 15 that day, and her friends are like, oh my God, are you having a party? She's like, no, we're just staying at it's just family. I'm doing what normal teenagers do on their 15th birthday, and I just want to hang with fam, you know. It's just a little party, no big things. Well, she does that because her parents are monsters. Literal monsters. Her parents are literal fucking monsters. With the line of like, there's something like a dark spell was cast on them, but there's no backstory. Like, we don't really get the whole thing. You just get these little like passing references to like things. Oh yeah, but remember when there was that other, you know, that thing, yeah. But it doesn't. It's very sort of like lazily put in here, like, but I'm not done. I did like this movie, and I'll tell you why. We'll get there eventually. Eventually she has these like advisors, and I didn't fully understand their difference either. Like, who is higher than the other one? They're the same job, but basically John Lithgow and Jennifer Lewis voiced these advisors. They want to have, they're like, we need a kingdom, we need a leader, we just need to get rid of those parents so that we can elevate her to leader. We'll just say the parents have died or whatever, and it's time for her to, you know, they're sort of planning in her best interest, not like against her. They're not like supervillains. It's not Jafar. But they're still doing it. And she's like, no, don't kill my parents. So they try to like take the parents away. They're like in these cages, and she goes out and saves them. And then it becomes about this journey. She talks to the oracles. One of them is like Nathan Lane, about, you know, can you change and he gives them a little bit more context. I thought Nathan Lane was horribly underused here in terms of his talent and ability and what he's able to do. And I was like, why doesn't Nathan Lane have a song? He was also paired with somebody who I didn't quite recognize. I was struggling to recognize who he matched with. But Titus Burgess comes in here for like a hot second and basically just does like, the amount of singing Titus Burgess does is also, can we give him more to do? You know, and I know from listening to the process of how the score was written and how he's like, no, it's very integral to the story. It's not, we didn't just drop songs in, like we were part of the whole writing process. You know, our songs are as important as the script. Okay, so you guys wrote it sort of in conjunction with sort of like a musical when people are writing music and they're writing the book. So this is how you approached it. Okay, so from that perspective, then it's just bad casting because you're taking talent, and it's just kind of frustrating to see grand talent being wasted and not being given songs. Jennifer Lewis can sing, Nathan Lane can sing, Titus Burgess can sing. Obviously, he sings for like 5 seconds. But these people, they never feel like they have a great song. John Lithgow has been on Broadway. He's been in a bunch of musicals. His song is almost like a patter song. And it lasts about a minute. So I'm like, did Alan Menken have brain damage? Like, what happened to his ability to write great music? Because there's like one great fucking song in this, and then he has a bunch of other ones. It's almost like he never thought he would get the casting or the talent behind these roles, because basically the only person who has great music to sing is Rachel Ziegler. All of these other side characters, it wouldn't have mattered who these voices were, except for one. I'm not there yet. We'll get there. I promise you. I'm going to talk about it. Be quiet. I'm not there. I can't go all the way. There will be some spoilers in here because of stuff I need to talk about. But I'm going to try not to at least tell you how the movie maybe I'll tell you how the movie ends. I don't know. I don't know where this is going. Deep spoiler warning ahead at this point, because at this point you haven't had any major spoilers. This is not a spoiler. The film is really about her trying to get her parents to come back from being monsters. I would say that's the summation of the plot. And so the fact that I say that she's rescued them, and that's where I've left off right now, you have not, that is what the movie's about in grand scale. So after the Oracle, they go on this journey, and John Lithgow has this body swap thing with this like pet thing. I don't know. It's a creature that is unique to this universe. It doesn't exist anywhere else. So it's, anyway, and there are more of it. Like he later encounters, but like then that animal is like in his human body, which creates like some humor, because that animal keeps like trying to eat nuts and stuff, but it's not talking. And Jennifer Lewis is trying to like interpret, thinking that it's her friend the whole time, who just has gone silent and just started eating like nuts off the ground. I don't know. So Lithgow follows on the journey while Jennifer Lewis is still part of the hunt. But eventually it starts working and the monsters start getting their characteristics back. At first they don't have memory, but they start being able to speak, and then they start getting their memories back. And this is where Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem come in together. And this is also where I start hating the movie, because it's like somebody watched Being the Ricardos and they're like, oh my God, did you know it would be so cute? What if, just hold on, what if we put Nicole and Javier, Lucy and Ricky together again in this movie? Wouldn't that just, people would die. They're gonna die. No, we're not. This is not some great pairing. This isn't Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan or Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. They did one film together that was over-nominated, and by many people. Many people feel Being the Ricardos had a little bit too. I liked it a lot more than other people did, and I'm saying I recognize it's not quite the legacy people think it is. Also, the problem is, I would keep Nicole Kidman and I would swap Javier Bardem. Now, I realize Rachel Ziegler is Latina, and you probably want somebody who is Latino as the father to balance out so that she has at least some parentage there, that I guess is the thought process. But it does not have to be Javier Bardem. It could be somebody who can actually sing. I'm tired of seeing Javier Bardem in musicals. He's a great actor. I'm not going to hold that against him in anything but a musical. His worst performances are in musicals. He is not a good singer. This is like Russell Crowe in Les Miserables. This is somebody who has this weird voice, and for some reason we've allowed them to be in musicals. He sounds like he's Dracula, like from the back. He's like, I'm here to sing, Rihanna. What are you doing, my daughter? And I'm like, I don't even understand what, like, who listened to you and was like, yes. Oh my God, that voice. It's like the voice of an angel. Please put that in the musical. Like, why is he in The Little Mermaid? Why is he in this? I don't know. I do not know. It's almost offensive to like all of the Latino men who can sing, you know? Find them. They're out there. Plenty of Latino actors. Find them and put them in this movie, please. Anyway, I hated Javier Bardem in this so much. I'm tired of hearing him sing. It just, every time, it's just going to kill me. He's the worst thing in Little Mermaid. And he's the worst thing in here, by the way. So, great actor, though. Not in a musical, love Javier Bardem. Anytime he's not in a music, great. Fantastic. Do it all the time. Let's get into that. But musical Javier, no. Never. Kill it with fire. No, I do not need that in my life. So, their journey is interesting. Anyway, they get to the point, basically what this film is about is divorce. That's the hot take here. Why I like it is because it's this tale where I think families are going to watch it, and then certain families are going to look at it and they're gonna be like, oh wow, there's a lot here, because you see that the parents are fighting, and then they get to the point where they're offered the opportunity to turn back, and they say, no, we don't want to go back because we can't. We didn't like who we were. We can't, we can't be together anymore. And she has gone through hell to get them to this point. She's also, perspective, 15, and she's running a kingdom. So, like, and her parents are selfishly being like, no, we want to stay monsters because we don't want to go back to being married and king and queen. And it's just, so what this film is those two then need to learn to work out their shit so that they can save their daughter, because Ziegler is warned earlier about everybody has darkness, and her darkness starts to come out in the movie's best song, What About Me, which I actually loved. I know people are going to be like, that's selfish. And it's like, well, you know what? I also thought, Do You Want to Build a Snowman was better than Let It Go. So to each their own, I guess. Like, different things stuck with me differently. I think it's just that third verse that really hit me. And Do You Want to Build a Snowman? That has such like emotional resonance to it. And there's emotional resonance finally in this song. Thank God Alan Menken wrote something that has emotional resonance to it and actually feels like, oh my God, we're saying something here, instead of just, it's a song. It's a song. And none of his other songs are even like cute. There's like no Hakuna Matata here that your kids are going to just be wandering around like singing like, oh my God, it's a goofy song and we loved it. There's no In Summer. There's none of that. There's no You're Welcome. None of those songs exist here. There's just one killer song by Rachel Ziegler at the end of the movie. And her parents have to fight to try to save her. And it ends up with this sort of like interesting resolve to everything, where the parents have to, they finally realize they see what they're doing to their daughter, and that their selfishness is causing her. Like, she's gone to hell and back for them. And all she's asking is for them to just, it's like, can you step in the light and become human again? So then you can work out your shit. Like, just fucking become human, because the whole reason they want to kill you is because you're monsters. If you're back to normal, then we can work everything else out, but we need to break the curse, So that is the complexities of that. And the other reasons I love this movie is it's another movie where there's no romantic love interest at all. She has friends up at the top of the movie. None of them become romantic love interests in either way. This is not even like a Nimona where they're like, oh my God, she's gay and she needs to have a girlfriend. Nope. This is nothing. It doesn't suggest to you either way where she's at. She just does not need a relationship at 15. She is not thinking about that. She's too focused on getting her parents transformed to be like, I need a prince or a princess to save me right now. Please. That's not in here. She's just on her own. And very few animated films do that, where they're like, okay, here's a princess who has no discernible love interest at all. There's also really not a villain. Like, there is no villain here. There's no singular definable villain. You could, I mean, even if you try to point at the people who are chasing them down and want to kill, I mean, they're misguided, but are they villains? Not really. I mean, it's part of, John Lithgow and Jennifer Lewis are presented as essentially having sort of the same thoughts and ideas. And then what happens is one of them stays sort of with the chase, and the other one ends up joining Ziegler and the parents. And you see sort of John Lithgow's opinion change as he sees that Ziegler's right, that the parents are still in there, that her eternal belief, sort of like Brave, Disney Pixar's Brave, that the parent is still in there, somewhere. We just have to reverse the curse. And as Ziegler starts doing that, that's when you see it. So, yeah, there are some really well done audio description sequences. I really liked the scene where they were saving the little baby griffin. I thought that was done really well. I liked I don't even know what the little creatures that John Lithgow turned into. That whole sequence is fun. His song could have been longer. It's not, I don't mind that it's a patter song for John Lithgow. I just wanted it to be longer, where he drinks the juice and he sings about it for, I don't know, like, was it, if that song's over a minute, I'd be shocked. It felt like it was so fast. Like, he's like, oh, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, I can drink this, I could, and we're done. I was like, that could have been a fun song about, you know, he could have broken out into all of the things, you know, doing all the things in life that he never wanted to do. So this is a very imperfect movie, but it has a message that I think carries through and has some really interesting choices in that, you know, this isn't your traditional princess story. This isn't your, like, traditional family dynamic. Nobody needs to fall in love you know, for everything to work out. As a matter of fact, the complete opposite. It's what happens. So, will this play with Oscar voters? Here's the thing. I think the Oscar category right now, surefire locks, Wild Robot, Inside Out 2, probable, Moana 2, and Memoir of a Snail. Who's getting the 5th spot? Do I think this film is strong enough to beat out some random anime movie that is bound to come out of nowhere? Or I think there's a Wallace and Gromit movie. I'm trying to think of like some other films. I don't. So I think Netflix, probably this uneven movie, it might get into Best Original Song. But that's a struggle because Alan Menken didn't write enough original songs here. So I'm just wondering if enough people liked What About Me like I did to vote for it. That's the question. But should you waste your time with this? Sure. I think it's probably the best thing. I kind of looked at Netflix animated features, and right now my favorite one is Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheek story of Netflix animated titles of the year. And I think this is better than that, largely because of the talent involved and really some stellar voices when given the opportunity to be stellar. It's just that some of those voices, like Lithgow, Lane, Lewis, Burgess, are all only given very brief opportunities to shine. And I wish they had been given more to do, you know. But sadly, that's just not the case. I'm going to give Spellbound, the animated film, also, sadly, not the classic. I should review the classic at some point, though. I wonder if it has audio description. A B. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.